I got to watch the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie yesterday, and let me just say, holy peak. This movie was amazing, and Ufotable has killed it yet again, blowing all of my expectations out of the water. Like, this movie is just visually beautiful, one of the most amazing pieces of animation I've ever seen, and I just don't know how they keep upping them. So the animation was just so quick and so crisp, and like every single fight was just so beautiful. And I would highly recommend you see this movie in IMAX because you can feel every single hit with the surround sound speakers, and it just elevates the experience so much more. And just having the movie in 4K and just feeling everything really just elevated these fights to a whole nother level that I personally haven't experienced going to see an anime movie in theaters. And regardless of what you think about Demon Slayer as a series, this movie was amazing, and they really brought their A game. But moving away from the amazing animation, the soundtrack was also beautiful. Every single Demon Slayer soundtrack so far has been absolutely amazing. And my favorite callback that they did was they did kind of a remix for Akaza's theme, which is like one of the most well known themes in all of Demon Slayer. So that I really, really enjoyed. And now, this movie is a lot longer than I expected it to be. I thought it was only going to be 2 hours. I feel like I remember looking up the runtime and it was only 2 hours, but it was 2.5 hours. And from top to bottom, there's just so much action, and it's just a great experience the whole way through. At points, it did drag a little bit, especially because like I've read the manga, so like I kind of knew everything that was going to happen within the film. But even still, like they paced it well, and everything was there for a reason. There was no filler. Everything that needed to be there was there, and overall was just really good. Now, speaking of the pacing, I do feel like the only negatives that came with this film, which weren't even that negative to me. It was just that there were a lot of flashbacks that they had to squeeze into this movie, and I don't remember just how many they had to squeeze in from when I read the manga, but the reason it did was a negative is because we'd be getting these amazing action sequences in the movie, and then it would just cut away for like 2 minutes to like a flashback, and it happened numerous times. But I think this played well in Akaza's fight because the flashback really plays into that fight, and as he's changing throughout the fight and understanding his character through his backstory, that's where it really worked. But I feel like through the Zenitsu and the Shinobu fights, they kind of would just abruptly stop the fighting, and you were just learning the backstory, but like nothing was really changing much on screen. All of their past actions have already influenced their decisions and where they were going from there. But speaking of Akaza and his backstory, this was my favorite backstory in Demon Slayer from when I read the manga, and they did it beautifully. Like they did it better than the manga, obviously, because it was just having sound, having music, having the emotions there. It really just made this backstory something special and so good. I remember clapping when he first popped up on screen, and my friends were like, "Why are you clapping for him?" And I was like, "Dude, just you wait. Like that's my goat right there." And then after the movie, they're like, "Yeah, that's the goat." So they did his backstory phenomenally, and the Giyu Tanjiro versus Akaza fight was the best, in my opinion, the best fight in the series so far. It was just so much action. It was a long fight. Like this fight, this whole section between Akaza, Giyu, and Tanjiro was like the last half of the film, but it didn't drag at all. Like I just kept wanting it to go. It was just so good. That's not to say the other two major fights weren't good. The Zenitsu fight was amazing. It was a bit shorter, but I remember it being kind of short in the manga because I won't get into spoilers. But that has some really, really cool sequences. And then the Shinobu and Doma fight was really, really awesome as well. There were some like parts in that fight that was like, this is like going so fast. I could like barely track what's going on. But no, that fight was amazing as well. And the whole backstory of Shinobu was great. Also, just want to give a shout out to the voice acting of this movie. It was amazing. Uh, the biggest standout for me was Doma's voice actor, who is also like Light Yagami, and um, Danzai from, or Dazai, I forget his name, from Bungo Stray Dogs. In his fight with Shinobu, like his voice like was changing so much. He did such a great job. And overall, he was just perfect the whole way through. And then also Akaza, it for me, it's funny because um, whenever he speaks, I just think of Katsura from Gintama, and he did an amazing job as well. His whole backstory, he did it beautifully, and really all the that's not to say all the other voice actors didn't do well. Every voice actor did amazingly. Muzan was menacing, and I love Kokushibo's voice actor because he plays Byakuya Akuchi from Bleach, and everyone just did a phenomenal job. But so overall, like, if you are even considering seeing this film, even if you're not a big Demon Slayer fan, if you just like anime, go watch this film in theaters. It is so worth it. Seeing this on the big screen, and especially if you see it on IMAX, like, just feeling everything, like, it was just such a great experience, and I really enjoyed the movie. And the only thing that stinks now is that we have to wait for the next film to come out in probably 2 years, where we're going to see Kokushibo fighting, and I can't wait for that fight. Like, if they did that much justice to Giyu and Tanjiro, I can only imagine what they're going to do with the Kokushibo fight, and then obviously the sunset arc or sunrise arc, whatever it's referred to as. I just can't wait. This film deserves all the praise it's getting. It did have a little bit of negatives, but that's just the matter of adapting a weekly manga into a 2.5 hour film. Like, it was not originally intended to be into a film. It was originally meant for a weekly release. And I do think if this was an anime season, people wouldn't be complaining as much about these backstories being so frequent within the film because it would be spread out over weeks. But I still think it worked well. They were really good backstories, really good fights, and just an overall amazing movie.